Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Bismillah, we start another podcast, the Imams Corner, and we are with Imam Uzair, one of our renowned elders and renowned elder scholars. We thank Imam Uzair for coming. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah for inviting me to be here once again.
Pleasure to have you. How are you?
I'm feeling much better.
MashaAllah.
So, recovering from the after effects of Hajj. Yes.
MashaAllah. Allah accept.
Jazakallah.
Barakah. So, Imam, we were discussing a couple of things last podcast, last week. Tafsir al-Quran, hadith, dua, and unfortunately we didn't get to the question because we were, mashallah, in a deep conversation about certain things. So I would like to start with the question, inshallah. It's a question from the audience, and it is: what is the key that parents should have to raise children in a non-Muslim country so they will always be in the right path?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Before we even speak about the steps that parents need to take, one thing we should keep in mind that whatever we do, there's no certainty that the children will remain on the right path.
Yes.
And we see that Hazrat Nuh alayhi salatu was salam, the prophet of the time, who is known for his relentless endeavor of inviting people to the right path, gave da'wah laylan wa nahara, day and night. His own son did not accept. Hazrat Lut alayhi salatu was salam, prophet of the time, his wife did not accept.
Yes.
And even in modern time, we see in our own societies that the parents may be very, very religious and they have tried everything, but their children are not on the right path.
So with the Imam's experience, is this something that we can do is it perhaps as a form of dua or something that is perhaps a formula that Allah has taught us?
We can basically look, I'll speak about the steps that we can take. What a parent should keep in mind is that if they do make an effort, and the right effort, the probability of children remaining on the right path will be much greater than them not remaining on the right path. That's what they can keep in mind. And at the end of the day, there are duties that fall upon the shoulder of each person. And as parents, they have a responsibility to give the best tarbiyah, the upbringing to the children. So at least they have discharged themselves, exonerated themselves from that responsibility. But why I started from this note is because many a times when we are counseling parents in relation to their children, one of the things that the parents will say, and especially those parents that spent many hours trying to do the right thing, they will say that we tried but it didn't work out. And we will say that, look, you have tried, but it doesn't mean that 100%, mi'a fil mi'a, that you are going to succeed. It's just like a business. A person opens a business and he tries day and night. Most of the time he does succeed. But
So
there is
how
a
does-
slight possibility he won't succeed.
How does a person reconcile, you say, 100%, how does a person reconcile with knowing that we have shortfalls as parents and knowing that, we are trying but we're making mistakes at the same time?
Look, the way that we need to move on is that it is a positive mind. It's not only when it comes to parenthood, but if we were to study the different faculties that we find ourselves in simultaneously, we find that there is many a times that we are doing the right thing and many a times we do slip. But as long as we stand up, learn from our mistakes and move on, we will find that dealing or that understanding of the situation is the way to live our life, to live in that faculty, to succeed in that faculty.
That's a beautiful point.
And that's what we need to do. So if we have made a mistake in the tarbiyah of our children, we can move on by learning from that mistake. Now we'll cover the three main steps and then we'll speak about the byproduct. There was a group of scholars in one of the Muslim countries that did a thorough research upon the connection of parents with children and children with parents, and how the mind of a child and how the mind of parents work whilst being together. And they came up with 3 main points. And of course there will be many other points, but they came up with 3 main points, fundamental points. And it is an understanding amongst this group of scholars that if a person can try to inculcate these 3 points, the children will have the best chance to remain on the path. Now, Imam Ghazali has made mention that a child is like a clean slate. In his Ihya Ulumuddin, he makes mention that the children are a clean slate. So it's very important what we imprint on that slate. So number one, the number one thing that we should try to teach our children from a very young age, and that is that there should be no compromise when it comes to the 5 daily prayers. That's number one. And we find that from the life of Nabi Kareem Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, from his qawli hadith, his verbal hadith, that when the child reaches the age of 7, and he explicitly made mention of the prayer. Indeed, the scholars have extended the rule to other ibadat, but Nabi Kareem Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam explicitly made mention of prayer.
And what other ibadat does it extend to?
It can be, giving
Fasting.
charity, fasting, and everything.
Is it around compulsory things?
It is not compulsory, and that's why Nabi Kareem Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says from the age of 7, try teaching them. And be lenient and be soft in your approach from the age of 7, because of course there's nothing compulsory upon that child at that moment.
Is it compulsory upon the parent?
Not really, we won't say, because if it's not compulsory for the child, it won't be compulsory upon the parents. But at this important junction in the life of the child, it is, I will say, most important for the parents to prepare the child for what he needs to do in the future. So if we start early, when we reach at the main junction, and that is when the child has reached the age of puberty, it will be very easy.
It's an easy transition.
Easy transition. So the Nabi of Allah says from the age of 7 to 10, and the parent can be soft in his approach, lenient. Sometimes he will give him way, and sometimes he will not, so on and so forth. And then from the age of 10 to the age of puberty, then the parent has to take it a bit more serious. So from this hadith, we realize that Nabi Kareem Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has drew the attention of the parents to that age of 7. So from the age of 7, we need to teach the children physically how to pray, and the importance of prayer will be realized by the child by the discharging of prayer by the parents in the house, and that will start before 7. So of course the hadith doesn't speak about that, but the parents, the way they drop everything, they're playing with the children, they're cooking food, they are doing something in the house, and suddenly they drop everything, the adhan has been given. Now this child is witnessing this, he's observing this well before 7.
Yes.
So there is something that has been activated in the mind by the way the parents are treating the prayer.
And subhanAllah, we see babies praying salah.
Yeah, we see
We
the
don't
babies
have to
praying.
say anything.
We don't have to say anything, and that's the verbal da'wah. So that starts well before 7, but the physical da'wah, meaning that teaching them and how to pray and making them stand with you, like you just said, Maulana, that the child does come, but that is his own choice.
He'll come and go again.
He will come and go, and sometimes he will disturb, and
Yes.
he will climb on the back, that's fine. But from the age of 7, it becomes a bit more serious.
Yes.
So the first point that has been understood is that the child should be taught how to pray, and from the age of 10 there should be no compromise when it comes to the establishment of prayer. Many times the parents may give in when it comes to the morning prayer. But the parents shouldn't.
Yeah,
From
after
the
10.
After 10, from the age of 10. Even if the child has not reached the age of puberty, the hadith indicates that you are allowed to physically reprimand the
Yes.
child. So from there we can understand that we should not give in to the sleep of the child.
Yes. And Mona, would Imam calculate the moon years or the sun?
It won't make much of a difference in 10 years, but everything is the moon years.
Right.
It is the lunar calendar. But 10 years, it doesn't make much of a difference.
Might be a few months.
Few months here and there.
Yeah.
So that is very important. So the child should establish the prayer. Now, the benefit of this is that there is a chip in the prayer. There's a chip in the prayer that basically prevents a human being from committing wrong in the future. So when this child matures and he starts his own life and he becomes a man for himself, then the salah, inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar, surah number 29, verse number 45, that the salah will prevent a person from evil and shameless acts.
Yes.
So that is going to be very, very important for the child to remain on the sirat al-mustaqim, on the
Yes.
right path. Number 2.
Which is obviously directly answering the question.
Answering the question. So that's why prayer is very, very important.
Yes.
And that's why the Nabi of Allah makes mention of it explicitly. Fasting does not give that power. It may give that program for the time you are fasting, but it doesn't give that permanent power.
Right.
Prayer gives that permanent
Subhanallah.
power. If a person establishes the prayer correctly
Yes.
and perfectly. Number 2 is that there should be no accommodation given to the child when it comes to the speech. So what am I referring to? We will not accept the child lying. And that's why Nabi Akram Muhammad said that the mu'min can be a coward, he can be such and such, but he can't be a liar.
Yes.
So lying is something that is abhorrent. It is very much disliked in Islam. So we need to create an environment, and this is very important. We need to create an environment in the house where the child feels comfortable to speak the truth, even if he knows that the truth is going to get him into trouble.
Yes, which is not easy.
And that's not easy.
Yes.
And that's why this is where the wisdom of the parents will play a very, very important role. So if the child has done something that is bad, very bad, he should feel comfortable.
Yes.
That if I go to my parents and speak the truth, I can.
Yes.
So,
Well, what do you do in a scenario with 2 children
yeah,
when one is obviously lying,
yeah.
but you can't tell which one it is, and they're not giving in?
So basically at that time, look, if they're 2 children and the wrong is being attributed to the other side, the best way at that time is, because you can't identify and you don't want to say something to one person for something that he has not said. So then you make a general statement and you say that this was wrong,
Yes.
and from now onwards, if this wrong has been committed or will be committed in the future, these are the circumstances, these are the repercussions that you're going to face. But in essence, we need to create an environment in which the children can speak the truth. The second thing is that many a times children don't want to speak the lie, but because of the way the parents have been speaking, the children find it insignificant when it comes to lying. For example, the very famous incident in the time of the Nabi of Allah, that one person, he promised his child that I will give you something, and but come close to me. And Nabi Kareem Muhammad said that, were you serious? Were you really going to give him something if he came close to you? And the Nabi of Allah, and the person said yes. So the Nabi of Allah said, that's right, but if you were not serious and you just try to lure him in, this will be a lie. It will be the break of a mu'ahada, a promise that you made to your child. Now, if the parents have promised the children something, sometimes the child, he's chucking a tantrum. And to just make him quiet, we'll say, all right, if you become quiet, I'll take you to the shop for our ice cream. Now the child becomes silent. And that was the goal of the father or the mother, and they don't take the child to the shop. Now this allows the child later on to lie, because my parents are lying, so I will lie as well. They learn from the parents. And a very common one is that if the bell rings, the doorbell rings,
tell them I'm not home.
Tell them I'm not home.
Mom said I'm not home.
So the child is witnessing that my parents are lying.
Yes.
Sometimes the phone goes off and you say, take the phone, and just say that the father is sleeping or the mother is sleeping. So this allows the child to develop the habit of lying later on. It's very common, there was an ad on TV that the father is drinking and he's run out of alcohol, and he sends his child to the fridge to pick up the alcohol.
Yes.
And now the child is going and he starts to drink because
he's grown up, and now he's asking his son.
That's it. So we need to be very careful. So create an environment is inclusive to do not lie in yourself, and making the child feel comfortable even when he has done something wrong, to speak the truth. So that demands a lot, and we will learn, parents will learn what they need to do at what time, so the child knows that speaking the truth is most important. Number 3 is very, very important. The number 3 point that I was very surprised when I was studying that article is that we need to teach our children to do the khidmah. Khidmah means serve. As we know that nowadays we are born with the golden spoon in our mouth, and we don't even pick up our own dishes, our own cup. We are waiting for mum or dad or the elder brother or sister to do something. But this third point is a very important point, and the wisdom that I will share in a few moments is astounding. That the children should be taught how to do khidmah. So if to place the plates on the table when we are going to eat, to help the mother, the sister, the brother, to contribute in the domestic duties. When somebody comes, make your children give salam, make them bring the tea, make them clean the dishes. Now what this does is, khidmat allows to address the arrogance. Service, when a person serves somebody, it addresses the arrogance. Now arrogance is one of the most stubborn spiritual sicknesses. When it comes to the spiritual cleansing, one of the most stubborn ailments that do not want to leave the soul is arrogance. It is kibr.
Well, if you ask a person who's arrogant, are you arrogant? Of course I'm not arrogant.
I'm not arrogant.
No, of course
he will not know. So that's why we take supplements. Now we're not sick, but we take supplements. Why are we taking the supplements? So we don't fall sick.
Right.
Or if there is some sickness that we do not feel right now, it will address that. So I'm not saying that a person is arrogant, but this service, this khidmah, is a supplement.
A prevention.
It's a prevention. So there may be arrogance there, it will address that as well, or there may be arrogance knocking on the door, it will repel that. So the khidmat is very, very important, and that's why they say that there was a great scholar, Maulana Ahmad Lahori, who was known for tafsir of the Quran. He used to spend all his time in the tafsir of the Quran. And somebody asked him an amazing question, and they said that if you had a few moments to encapsulate the entire Quran, what would you say? So if one person came to you and he said that I'm a non-Muslim and I've only got about 30 seconds or 1 minute, what will you say about your Quran? What is the message of the Quran? And he said the message of the Quran is a 3-liner. And he said, what is that? He said that please Allah by ibadat. Please Allah by worshipping Him. Please Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by ita'ah, by emulating him. and please the makhluk of Allah by khidmat, by serving.
Allah.
And this is it. So it's
Beautiful.
So it's ita'a, ibadah, khidmah.
Yes.
And the third point that we are speaking about when it comes to the children, it is make them khadim.
Yes.
Khadim is the one that is tawadu, mutawadi. He is humble. Don't make him the king. Make him the khadim.
Yes.
And you will find that if, inshallah, simultaneously, if these three qualities or these three steps are inculcated by the child, by the effort of the parents, inshallah, this child will be qurrata a'yun, the coolness of the eyes in time to come.
Yes.
At the end, the icing on the cake is keep making dua. The dua that comes to mind, inshallah, one day in our program we will discuss it at length, but for now the reference that comes to mind is Surah Furqan, Surah number 25, verse number 74, in which Allah Almighty says, وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. So this is a dua that is basically for children, for the coolness of the eyes when it comes to all those people that you have a connection with. And of course, ذُرِّيَّاتِنَا means our offspring, our children.
Yes.
So make this dua in abundance, inshallah. Even if we find that our children at a certain stage in their life are moving away, don't lose hope. They will return back. I find in this country, in our countries, like when I say our countries, I'm talking about Pakistan, our parents 40 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, the way of tarbiyah used to be very, very different. Nowadays, parents can't get away with that, or they do not succeed with that kind of tarbiyah. A lot of parents say, how do we know that we have succeeded in giving good tarbiyah to our children? So I said that you will only know when the child has reached an age where he believes that he is independent. At that time, if he still is connected to you and he still is your friend and he feels comfortable in spending time with you, that means that you have invested very, very well in the past.
Yes.
But if he starts to pull away, then you're going to have to think, why is he pulling away? So become his friend. Become his first friend,
right.
His first point of contact. So maybe for the boys it may be the father, and maybe for the girls it may be the mother, but that relationship should be there. But that relationship does not develop overnight. It demands a lot of effort and a lot of sacrifice,
and time spent
on on behalf of the parents, because they have to suppress their own rights.
Yes.
Because the parents have a right that you can't speak like this to me, but maybe we have to drop ourselves and compromise.
And I think that's, like you're talking about before, about the father who's asking his boy to do that thing, and then he became that same. Yeah. It's the same thing. If the parents forgo their rights, then it's teaching the children to forgo their rights. Yeah. And I really liked Imam's point about, if you want your child to be a leader, don't treat them like a king. Treat them like a servant, because all leaders, all good leaders are good servants. Yeah. They're not necessarily serving people in a traditional way, but they're always bringing value to people's lives. Yeah. They're always giving things and worrying about people, and that's what makes a good leader. Yeah.
Now, the listeners, they may have many other points. Of course, this is a very vast topic.
Of course.
But these were a few points that came to mind. All those that have children, Allah Almighty allow these children to be the coolness of the eyes.
Ameen.
And flag bearers of Islam.
Ameen.
But never be demoralized if you find that your children are drifting away. Inshallah, through your efforts, through your du'as, and there's no more powerful du'a than the du'a of the parents, these children will return back.
Yes. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Don't lose hope.
Inshallah.
Never lose hope.
Yes,
that's in regards to sort of instilling things within the children. How do we as parents enjoy our children?
Look,
that's more about the actual parent now. How do we...
Look, what we need to understand is that Of course, children, al-malu wal-banuna zinatul hayatid dunya. That wealth and children. So wealth has been attached to children.
Yes.
Wealth and children, meaning resources, belongings and goods. These are all part of the beautification of this dunya. The way that parents can really enjoy their children is that they look at their children, that these children are going to be a sadaqah jariyah for me. You know, a lot of people say, how are we going to invest so much time? Because if we're investing time as a duty, it is going to become a burden. But if we invest...
Like a clock in, clock off working
clock in,
environment.
clock off, yeah, you're not going to enjoy it. Because I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to make them pray, I have to do this. But if we're looking at only the children becoming good, then all the benefit revolves around the child being good. But where do I get any benefit?
Right.
As parents, at the end of the day, parents are human beings.
Yes.
And human beings need to see some benefit.
So that would lead to virtues, right?
Yes.
No.
So what we need to look at as parents is that these children are basically a sadaqah jariyah for us.
Yes.
That it is a perpetual business for me.
Yes.
So when I depart from this world...
Which, subhanAllah, just as you're mentioning that, and you're talking about relating it with wealth.
Yeah.
Subhanallah. And you're saying there's a business.
Yeah.
It could be understood for this world, which
Yep.
is easy to understand.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my children to work for me, you know, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. And also for the afterlife.
Afterlife.
That's which obviously...
And the Nabi of Allah explicitly has made mention children, يَدْعُوا لَهُ, that make dua for you as sadaqah jariyah.
Yes.
So, you know, there's some people, and when I speak to them, they're business people, and they work countless hours. It's not 8 hours, it's their own business, and
Yes.
you ring them and they say that we came back 11 o'clock at night, and tomorrow night I'm not going to sleep, I'm going to do the accounts, and you go, whoa. And I say, where do you get the power from? Where do you get the energy, you know, to work so many hours?
Yes.
And you're relentless. And he says that, look, I'm doing this for my children. I'm leaving this for my children.
Yes.
So somehow he gets all that energy, the ability to do many, many more hours than other people.
So obviously he's enjoying it.
He's
if he can do
enjoying
that many
it now,
hours. Yes.
because he can see that there's a great benefit in this for myself and for my children that I love daily. So when it comes to enjoying parenthood, we need to look at children, maybe the incorrect word, as a ongoing business.
Yes.
That this is my sadaqah jariyah, that
Yes.
even when I leave this world, these children will remain on the path, and they would have taken something positive from me and instilled that in their children as well. So this will continue. It's a perpetual,
Subhanallah.
ongoing business. And a person, when he finds that there's not only benefit for the child, but there's benefit for me as well, he will start to enjoy it.
Yes, subhanallah. I'm just imagining like a seed.
Yes.
A child, perhaps you could say, is like a seed that, you know, watering a plant can sometimes be... I try to grow plants, but I don't normally get the benefit of it, so I end up leaving it.
Yeah.
You know, but if I have that foresight of the benefits I can get in this world, if I can create something for my family in this world, and also have foresight for the afterlife, you know, that gives me that drive, like you're talking about, like the accountant that spends
Subhanallah.
sleepless nights.
As believers, you know, we're so fortunate that the extracting of the soul from the body is not the announcement that the life is over. It's just a transition to another part of our life.
Yes.
So like you said, Maulana, that you plant the seed, you may not see the growth of that seed. You may not see the tree in this one life.
Yes.
But indeed, that tree will grow.
We have hope for it.
Yeah, we hope for it. It will grow.
Yes.
And you'll be on the other side.
Yes.
And you will see it from there.
Subhanallah.
And the fruits will be transported to you.
Allah.
So you won't miss out. Yes.
Allah. May Allah Ta'ala give us benefit from our children.
Ameen.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of our offsprings.
Ameen.
Imam, can we move on, inshallah?
Yes.
If we can move on to the tafsir.
Yes.
And in Surah Ali Imran, verse 33, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وسارعوا إلى مغفرة من ربكم وجنة عرضها السماوات والأرض أعدت للمتقين. Would Imam start with perhaps a general translation, and then we can get into that?
This is a very famous ayat. Many ulama, orators use this ayah in the speeches. It's from Surah Al Imran, verse 133, in which Allah Almighty says, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ, that march forth to the forgiveness of your Lord. وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ, and towards a paradise, the width that is greater than the heaven and the earth. وَعِدَّةٍ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, that has been prepared for the pious. So there's basically three messages in this one ayah. And we will only focus upon the first for today, and most probably we will run out of time. So Allah Almighty is saying, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ, that march forth to the forgiveness of your Lord. The word that Allah has used is sari'u. And sari'u determines the pace by which we are going to march forth. So a person may say that I want to walk at a very slow pace. Another person will say, I would like to sprint. Another person will say, I'd like to run, whatever the case may be. But Allah Almighty says, no, wasari'u, be very, very quick. Be haste. Now, what does this really mean? So this is a metaphor for basically inviting a human being to not let go of any opportunity in life that can please Allah Almighty and the Rasul. So there's many, many opportunities that come in life. There is a good deed that knocks on the door. There's a good deed, the opportunity to do that deed knocks on the door. But because at that certain time we may be preoccupied, or we may be fatigued, the body is not willing to stand up, or whatever the case may be, we may be just lazy, and a person does not open that door. Now, if a person does not open that door, he has disregarded what Allah Almighty has said. So this is an invitation by Allah Almighty, and I look at it, it is an invitation by Allah Almighty, and we have rejected that invitation. Allah Almighty sent somebody to our door, but we were not willing to open the door. Now in Arabic, this invitation is known as tawfiq. It is known as tawfiq. And each person will identify that tawfiq comes his way many a times during the day. So basically he's reading a book, or he's listening to a lecture, or he has seen something that connects him to Allah Almighty. And immediately after that, or a few moments after that, there's an opportunity to do good. Now this good is a byproduct of studying. It's a byproduct of witnessing what Allah Almighty has placed in this world. Now when that tawfiq comes and knocks on the door, if we open the door and embrace the tawfiq by doing the good, then Allah Almighty will allow the tawfiq to return again. Because this tawfiq is a guest from Allah Almighty. It is a guest designed by Allah that knocks on our door. So the tawfiq goes back and gives a report that Mr. So-and-so opened the door, embraced me, respected me. So Allah Almighty will say that you can go back again. But if that door does not open, then the tawfiq returns. The tawfiq returns and say that the door was not open. So Allah Almighty will say, if you have been disrespected, you don't have to go again. And that's why the Nabi of Allah has said that, a lot of people say, how do I know that my Salatul Asr is accepted? They say that Salatul Asr will be accepted if you pray Salatul Maghrib. And Salatul Maghrib is accepted if you pray Salatul Isha.
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
Because one good deed, tawfiq, allows the door of tawfiq to open again. But if it is rejected, then that door closes. And that's why many a times people say that I started praying, then I stopped. Most probably there was another knock on the door at a different time from the 5 daily prayers.
A different scenario, a different type.
And we rejected that.
Right.
And
perhaps an opportunity to give sadaqah or smile or help somebody, and then it affects their salah.
Anything. It can be a smile, it can be sadaqah, whatever it may be. And that closed the door of praying. So that's why we need to be very, very careful. It's very simple. It's like, if a guest comes to our house, and what do? We prepare a meal, and we make him comfortable, and we sit with him, we give him time. So after 3 days, the guest says, I'm leaving now. But what would he say? He would say that my stay here was beautiful, was delightful. You were the best host, and I will be privileged if I can come again.
Yes.
And he will feel very, very happy to come again. But if we put the food on the table, but we don't give him time, or we don't even put the food on the table, this guest, whilst he, in his mind, he came for about 3 days. After a couple of hours, he will try to find a way out.
Yes.
Same thing is with tawfiq. And this is why Allah Almighty says, "Wasari'u." Don't delay and procrastinate. That if it's knocking on your door, you got the opportunity to do good, I'll do it after 1 hour. I'll do it after 2 hours. The more you delay it, the weaker the tawfiq becomes.
It reminds me of the example of Fajr Salah. You're talking about Salah, Asr, then Maghrib, then Isha. What happens when we sleep in for Fajr? This is a common thing. It's one of the more difficult prayers to make. What do we do? Do we automatically fall into the category of, oh, I've lost my tawfiq because I didn't wake up for Fajr? What should we do?
Look, Fajr, it starts before going to sleep. The preparation of Fajr starts before going to sleep. A lot of people say we didn't wake up. So the first thing that they have to identify is with which intention did I go to sleep with? So some people, they don't even have intention to wake up. They don't have intention to wake up. So if they sleep through, the wrong has started before even going to sleep.
Yes.
The intention was not there. Now, if the intention is sound, that I do want to wake up for Salatul Fajr, and a person makes preparation for that, and the physical preparation of that is that some people are deep sleepers, they need more hours than others. As we know that when we're young, we sleep much more than when we will grow old. So sleep a bit earlier. That nightlife has to be sacrificed, because whatever we get from the nightlife is minute compared to the establishment of Salatul Fajr. And if we are going to sacrifice Salatul Fajr for the enjoyment of the night, we are very, very foolish. So if a person can't wake up, I'm not saying that this is a general rule, but if a person can't wake up, he needs to sleep a bit earlier. All right? And many a times people that sleep earlier against the norm, they'll sleep straight after Salatul Isha, they're up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
SubhanAllah. Because
they're fresh now. Their sleep has, their body has replenished. So physical preparation is sleeping early if you can't wake up. And then the intention should be there as well. Now if a person goes to sleep and he sleeps through, all right, the alarm goes off and he is unaware. There's a problem here, unaware. I'd like to identify that as well. Some people put the mobile phone or the alarm clock beside them. So they may be semi-conscious and they will tap the phone. They have enough understanding to tap the phone, but they don't know that they have tapped the phone. And they sleep through. So for those people, preparation is to put the phone far away. So if the phone does go off, the alarm does go off, at least you will have to stand up and walk to the phone. That will make him completely, that's the hard part, that will make him completely awake.
Yes.
Now,
some people say drinking water as well. Grab a drink of water as quickly as you can.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
and then
know
it
that.
needs to go. If you do go back to sleep, you're not going to stay long. You're going to have to get up again and go.
So, creating an environment that will make it hard for a person to present excuses. Because at the end of the day, a person starts to justify to himself that I slept through.
Yes.
So I need to counter all that and create an environment where there's no excuse left for me. And I know that I'm breaking the command of Allah Almighty.
So what happens now with a person who's figuring out all these things? He figures out, I've been making excuse. I've been sleeping through my alarm because I've just been, just turning off, and then perhaps he puts it far away where he does do that, and then something else happens, and then it's like that process of trying to figure out, even though he hasn't quite figured it out yet, and he's not quite there.
Look, let's take it to the guest, and then we can apply to this scenario. The guest was not treated well, and he was very upset, and he left. Now the host realizes that I did the wrong thing by the guest.
Yes.
So what is he going to do now?
He's
going to ring the
call
guest.
Them up. Yes.
He's going to call him up, and he's going to say, "Forgive me.
Yes.
Please forgive me. You come this time, I'm going to take care of you.
Yes.
Give me another chance. I was foolish." Now the guest comes, and we know that the guest has got a big heart. So now the guest comes, and we treat him properly. Then that door will remain open from both sides.
Yes.
The guest will come, and the host will host. So the same thing is, never fall into despair. If prayers were being missed for whatever reason, all right, we should never fall into despair as long as we are alive, as long as we are breathing, as long as the soul is connected to this body. So what we will do is, the one that sends the guest, we will communicate with him. I'm referring to Allah.
Yes.
And we'll say, "Ya Allah, forgive me for the past. All right, forgive me for the past. But from now onwards, I am going to wake up. When the guest will knock on the door, I'm going to wake up. And I'm going to try everything to wake up. I'm going to try everything to wake up." So whatever precautions a person needs to take, whatever steps he needs to take, he takes those steps.
There's something that I've picked up along my ways. It's a set of questions. It's 3 questions.
Right.
And the first question that, and it's something that is like a daily practice, and it can become, you can do it multiple times a day. The first thing that's required for this step is a person asks himself, what have I done great? So what did I do really well? Which changes that mindset from that, I can't do it, or I'm not worthy, which the thoughts that come, like, I'm a person that doesn't pray Fajr. The thought comes into people's minds, and they, rather than having that, they say, what have I done great? So, well, I tried a little bit.
Right.
They look at the positive, and then appreciate that positive. And then the second question would be, okay, but what could I improve upon? And that's not what we're talking about. Move the mobile phone.
Yes.
And if that doesn't quite work, okay, well, what did I do? Great. I moved the mobile phone, and I had the intention of praying. That was great. Well, what can I work upon? Perhaps drinking a glass of water, have the water ready, or have a miswak there ready and start miswak before wake up. And then that constant, if it was a daily effort, imagine how many things we could change in 1 week.
MashaAllah.
And then the third question is, what specific action am I going to take? Now it's about, I'm going to do this, implement it, write it in my diary if I have to. So what have I done great? What area can I improve upon, and what specific action can I do to implement that change?
Yeah, these are, certain steps a person can take, and most probably if a person can take them seriously in very quick time, the action that was very hard to achieve will become that much easier.
Which is wasari'u.
Yeah, wasari'u.
Yes.
Be haste. And a person doesn't realize the ability that he has.
Yes.
There's great ability in every human being.
Yes.
And there's one point that Maulana touched upon, and it's a very important point when it comes to people that have not been praying or not been doing the right thing. Never ever feel that Allah has deserted you, and never ever feel that there's no way out of this. We should never ever focus upon the quantity of wrong, but we should focus upon the unlimited mercy of Allah Almighty. And there's nothing that we can do in this life that cannot be forgiven. And it's just a matter of reconnecting with Allah Almighty and saying that it was not one guest that you sent to my door. There were many guests. And I was just in my own zone, wrong zone, and I did not open the door. But I'm ready to open the door now. So forgive me for the past. And Allah will not ask a second question. He won't ask, why did you do this? He will not say. He will say, I have forgiven you straight away. So our dealing is not with another human being. Our dealing is with Allah Almighty. And Allah Almighty is Halim, forbearant. He is Ghafir, Ghaffar, Ghafur, Rahim. He is Wadud. All these attributive names give us so much solace, because we are people that are weak. We have our own challenges in life. There is a constant battle that takes place inside ourselves. The battle of choosing good over bad and defeating evil. Many a times we succeed, and many a times we do not succeed. But at the end of the day, whatever we are doing is presented in front of Allah Almighty. And Allah Almighty, He treats human beings with a lot of favoritism, and especially the human that has come in the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there's no reason for anyone to be demoralized. Never ever focus upon the sin, or how many sins, or how many wrongs you have done, or how severe the sickness is, the spiritual sickness. Our dealing is with the Shafi. Our dealing is with the Ghafir, and He's ready at all times. So just one word will remove everything from the past.
SubhanAllah.
Inshallah.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to implement this.
Yeah.
May Allah ta'ala allow us to have this hastenness towards mercy. And I think it's very beautiful that Allah ta'ala mentions that it's, He's encouraging us, but He's also saying it's possible to hasten towards mercy, and then from your Lord.
From your Lord.
And
the word used is a Rabb.
Yes.
The word, it could have been any other name of Allah Almighty.
Yes.
As we know that Allah is Ism Dhat, that is the personal name of Allah. And all other names are attributive names. And we find that even the Quran, when it opens, so we open the door to the Quran, and it is Surah Fatiha, it starts with Rabbil Alameen, the Lord, because Rabb is the one that, there's many definitions, but one definition of a Rabb is the one that handles the growth of something. He allows it to go from one stage to the next, from the next to the third, to the third, to the fourth. So Allah Almighty is always there.
Yes.
He has never left us and deserted us. A Rabb cannot be a Rabb if he deserts, because a Rabb has to be there to evaluate the growth of his makhluk.
Beautiful.
And that's why Allah says, "Sari'u ila maghfiratin min rabbikum." To be hasten, be quick towards the forgiveness of your Rabb.
Yes.
Because your Rabb is right there.
Yes.
You can forget Him, He will never forget you. That the very famous hadith that when a person remembers Allah, Allah remembers the human being. And when a person forgets Allah, Allah still remembers.
SubhanAllah.
Because the Rabb cannot desert. Yes.
That's it. We have reached our time. May Allah Ta'ala allow us to get His mercy, and may Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala continue to send His guests to us. May Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq and bless us in every stage of our life, and forgive us for the mistakes that we give. Jazakallah khairan, Imam.
Thank you so
much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.